ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
Here we are. It's Friday. It's September 30th, and your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I am your host, Paul Swann. Thanks for tuning in. We are here, of course, until 6 o'clock. I'll be taking your phone calls this hour, 877-420-TALK, 877-420-8255. Again, that number is 877-420-TALK. That's the phone line, the text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Coming up this hour, high school football across the tri-state once again. We've got three pretty good matchups tonight. Okay, I'm not going to lie to you. We've got two pretty good matchups, and I think Riverside Huntington is going to be better than the record indicates. We'll hear a little bit later on from Christian Palmer and Woody Woodrum. We'll talk to them about maybe 5:30. We've got Oak Hill at Cabell Midland. That should be a pretty good game. And we've got Chris Tatum going to have the call of that one tonight, and we'll check in with him about, I'm thinking about maybe 5:45. And then Matt Perry's got Spring Valley at South Charleston. And this is a team that's undefeated against a team that is looking for a win. So we have got those games tonight on our family of Kindred Communication stations. We've also got our Drive Power 5. Rankings are out today. It's exclusive to the Drive. It's our power rankings. We rank the best teams in the tri-state. And right now at number one, the top team continues to be in the tri-state, Spring Valley. So the Spring Valley Timberwolves undefeated at 4-0. Number one in the Drive Power 5. Number two is going to be Ironton. Ironton moving up. There was some close voting between Ironton and Huntington these last few weeks, and it's really tight. So it could go either way anytime. But Ironton is the number two team in the Drive Power 5 this week. They are undefeated at 6-0. Huntington High comes in at number 3 with a 3-1 record. They are personally my number 2 team, but they come in number 3 in the Drive Power 5. And then Raceland comes in number 4. Raceland's having a pretty good season so far. And then Cabell Midland getting back into the Drive Power 5 at number 5. And so if any one of those teams ahead of the Cabell Midland Knights stumble, I think Cabell Midland will jump up a little bit. Our Drive Player of the Week, it's Portsmouth Trojans quarterback Tyler Duncan. He had a 300-yard performance, 4 touchdowns, and a 43-42 win at Colgrove. So congratulations to Tyler Duncan. We have named him the Drive with Paul Swann, Player of the Week. Before we completely turn everything over to high school, let's get you caught up on what's happening. Of course, tomorrow, big game, Marshall taking on Gardner Webb. I say big game only because it's a home game. Marshall hasn't had one of those in a while. So it's an opportunity for Herd fans to maybe go see the Herd for the first time in a while. I know it's Gardner Webb that maybe doesn't thrill you as an opponent. I understand weather's going to be so-so. By the way, Thunder Street has been canceled. The Thunder Street event has been canceled for the game tomorrow because of impending weather. I don't know what the weather's really going to be like out there tomorrow, but it's better to be safe than sorry, so I'm not going to be on Thunder Street looking at you tomorrow as we talk about Marshall football. I'll be back here in the studio. I will try to see some of you as I am making my way to the stadium after the pregame on Saturday. Hope to see some of you there, and if I don't see you, I'll try to catch up with you all. But, hey, we're going to be back together again for the first time in a while. Marshall taking on Gardner Webb. Must win for the Herd. I hate to put that on this game against Gardner Webb, but I hate to do it, but I'm going to do it. Must win game for the Thundering Herd. Obviously, for several reasons. One, Gardner Webb, only victory so far is a 56-21 victory against Limestone. And then Marshall needing this win because after beating Notre Dame, you've lost 2 straight. I think Troy was always going to be tough. The Bowling Green game was a little bit that's a tough one. I think that's still the tough one there. So Marshall and Bowling Green, the game you didn't want to lose and you lose. So that's kind of taking some of the wind out of the sails for a lot of Herd fans. And again, I'm just talking to some of you. Now, this is not a full, proper picture of all Herd fans, but we keep coming back to that Bowling Green game for some of you when I talk to you. So we'll see what the crowd looks like on Saturday. And maybe here in a week or so when it's time for Marshall and Louisiana, we'll see better weather, we'll see better crowds, and maybe Sunbelt football at Jones C. Edwards Stadium will fire some of you up. But I know I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna hear about this, but this Gardner-Webb team did play tough against Coastal Carolina, lost that game 31-27. And this team also lost to Elon 30-24, whatever that's worth to you. And number 16 Mercer lost that game 45-14. Mercer's better than Elon. Is Mercer better than Coastal Carolina? I don't think so. But at the same time, a lot of App fans thought, hey, James Madison, welcome to big boy football. Welcome indeed. So don't necessarily sleep on Gardner-Webb. And I'm sure I'm going to hear about it. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. You know, the other thing I've heard about, Marshall getting a $13.8 million funding boost, a contribution from the State Water Development Authority's Economic Enhancement Grant Program yesterday. We were there and talked about it, and if you missed any of that, you can go back on the podcast and listen to Jim Justice talk about it, and Christian Spears, Marshall's athletic director, Jeff Wagner, baseball coach. I've kind of seen some of the designs. I haven't seen all the bells and whistles yet and everything. I've seen sort of the initial the picture that's out there. I've seen that. You've seen it as well. If you haven't, they've got it on the Herd Rises campaign. And it looks neat. It looks like a neat little place to watch a baseball park. And it looks like you can expand it. I think the thing you got to remember here is get it built and then expand it. Get it built and then build upon it. Instead of, okay, let's wait until we can really jazz it up because we'll continue to be waiting. So get it built, get the foundation started, and then build upon that. I think that's the game plan here. What can you do today? What can you build today? What can you move upon today? I think I've got the philosophy a little bit of Christian Spears down. What can you do today? What can you do to get this team on a baseball field here in a couple of seasons? So I think what we're going to see, the final product, is what you can get done today. And I think it's still going to be one of the nicer facilities in the Sun Belt. I think it's going to be a great facility to watch a baseball game. And it looks like you can expand upon it a little bit. And again, it's not final. Whatever pictures out there, whatever designs out there, it's not final. I'm sure that there's going to be a push for bells and whistles. That was a phrase yesterday Christian Spears talked about, bells and whistles. And they're still looking for more donations so they can have the bells and whistles. So if you haven't contributed just yet, and you're interested in helping out, that's going to be a cause for you to take advantage of and help out. Everybody that complains about Marshall not having a baseball park, if you would contribute. If you contribute, I think you get this thing funded really quick, everything you possibly want. If you have ever complained about Marshall not having a baseball park, then here you go. Drop $5 to it. Drop 10, drop 20, whatever you're comfortable with. And this is just me talking. This isn't me speaking on behalf of the athletic department. This is me. If you've complained about Marshall not having a baseball park, then drop a 20 if you can do it. If you can't do that, you can drop a 10, drop a 10. If you can drop a 5, do a 5. If you can go 50, go 50. If you can do 100, give 100. I'm not looking for a set amount here, and I'm not going to get any extra favor for saying that, but if you have always said, hey, Marshall needs a baseball park. Well, okay, I agree. Marshall needs a baseball park. Can you contribute to the funding? Marshall needs a light fixture on the baseball park. Can you throw us 20 to help us get that light fixture? You get what my meaning? And, of course, you can't contribute. I get that, too. I'm not trying to shame anyone here. If you can't contribute, contribute by your participation when Marshall opens up the place. If you can buy a ticket, go see the Herd. Go support the Herd when you can. Thanks for joining me for my TED Talk today here. That was a great day yesterday. And I know I have engaged in these conversations, and I have seen these conversations about state funding of Marshall University. Some are grateful, others are resentful, and I look at other projects at other institutions across the state using different resources, TIF money, other avenues of funding, and I think that it's nice that Marshall is getting a funding boost to help out with the baseball park. Soccer yesterday, we got to talk about that briefly. Number 3, Marshall played to a draw with Coastal Carolina. Marshall outshot Coastal 16-3, including 4-2 on shots on goal. Marshall returning to Hoops Family Field Tuesday will play host to Robert Morris, the soccer team looking for your support. Hopefully there'll be a great crowd out for that on a Tuesday night. That should be fun. And then the women's soccer team on the road taking on UL Monroe. That's going to be 2 o'clock on, I believe that's Saturday at 2 o'clock. So that's kind of a look at what's happening for the Thundering Herd. The one that is coming up tomorrow that I'm sure the most of you are going to will be Marshall at Gardner-Webb. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. I'll still take your phone calls and texts. We're going to talk a little high school football, but we will do that at 877-420-TALK and text line 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We turn our attention to high school football. Spring Valley taking on South Charleston. Matt Perry joins me next. We'll talk about that game when we continue with this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Friday edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Tomorrow we've got Marshall football, but tonight we've got high school football. We start off with the number one team in the Drive, Power 5, the Spring Valley Timberwolves, taking on South Charleston. Now, you look at the records and you think, oh, this isn't going to be good. Spring Valley at 4-0, taking on a South Charleston team that is winless. To tell us more about this matchup is Matt Perry. He'll have the call of the game tonight on 92.7 and 98.5 The Planet. And, Matt, why should I care about winless South Charleston and undefeated Spring Valley?
If you're a Spring Valley fan, you're looking to see a tune-up game, looking to see maybe if some kids that don't quite get to see the field as much as the starters do, maybe get their time to shine a little bit. It's no secret. Spring Valley is a heavy favorite, and it's definitely one of those games where you try to fine-tune your stuff because next week the Wolves travel to Cabell Midland, and that's a game that everybody has circled.
Any chance of looking ahead? Where's this team at right now? You see Cabell Midland. That's a big rivalry game. Some people think maybe the Huntington and Spring Valley or Cabell Midland and Huntington, maybe those are the big rivals. I don't know. I think Cabell Midland and Spring Valley probably trumps any combination of Huntington and those two schools.
I can't speak for Huntington and Cabell Midland, obviously. I haven't been involved with that. But throughout my life, growing up in the Streeta Canova area and being an alumni from Spring Valley High School, I can tell you that the team that we did not like the most, if that makes sense, is Cabell Midland. When we were growing up, I don't know if that feeling still applies to the young men today, but that was always the game. That was the rivalry game.
What made that game? What was it about those two schools? What was it about those two communities that just you want to get after each other? What is it?
Well, maybe it's a little bit of bias because even though I played a little football, I was mostly a baseball player. And during my time growing up, it was always Streeta Canova and Barbersville. When we were kids, when we were playing Little League and Babe Ruth, those were the two teams. And so by the time we went to Spring Valley, it was Cabell Midland versus Spring Valley. We'd grown up playing these kids in meaningful games, and we just didn't like each other very much.
Well, that's next week. This week, of course, is South Charleston coming into this one behind it all at 0-4. Looking at South Charleston tonight, any chance? Do they have any chance in this game? If you've gotten ready for this, do you think they're maybe improving? Do you think they are a little bit better than that 0-4 record? What's your assessment of them as you get ready for this one tonight?
I hate to pile on. I really do. But when I was going in through the numbers today, and you never want to say there's no chance. Anything can happen when you play the game of football. But South Charleston averages a 55-6 loss in 4 games. That's their average. They're giving up a ton of points. They don't move the football very well. They're struggling mightily in a new system. And just to give you an idea of how much difference there is. Again, like I said, they average a 55-6 loss, and Spring Valley's average outcome is a 33-22 win. So just teams on completely different spectrums at this point in time in high school football here in West Virginia.
Matt Perry's going to have the call tonight at Spring Valley taking on South Charleston. We're going to have that game on our sister station, 92.7 and 98.5 The Planet. This one perplexes me. Again, South Charleston, I would think South Charleston, one of the larger communities in the state of West Virginia and Kanawha Valley. I know it's always tough in the Kanawha Valley, but I would think that a South Charleston team would have the talent, the athletes to at least be better record-wise. Why is this team facing so much adversity?
Well, evidently, and again, this is just from the outside looking in. With Donnie Mays leaving, and there were some players that chose to leave alongside their former head coach, and they're having issues, gelling together as a team. Some kids leaving the school, a new head coach, a new scheme. It all is mixed together in being a very sluggish and rough start for the Black Eagles this year.
Matt Perry's with me. We have got the game for you coming up tonight. It is set for our sister station, 92.7 and 98.5 The Planet. Hopefully Spring Valley's not looking ahead because you've got the big one next week, Cabell Midland. And I know that the Cabell Midland kids won't be looking ahead, but they're probably also just peeking out just a little bit. Oak Hill's going to give them enough tonight to worry about. But after that, I'm sure around, 10:30 tonight, they're going to, if they win, enjoy it, and then start looking at Spring Valley, and I'm sure the same thing for the Timberwolves tonight. You have the bus ride home. You're going to enjoy it. Then you get off the bus, and it's already Cabell Midland week.
I would figure as though, both, like I said, both programs, they like to get after each other. And Cabell Midland has a tougher test tonight than the Valley does. What you don't want to see, you asked me, the first question was, hey, why should Spring Valley fans really be, why should they be invested in this game? Well, number one, anytime your team plays, there's only 10 regular season games, so you need to be invested. You need to support the kids. But you also want to see how they come out and perform. If they look sluggish, if they look like they don't want to be there, that's not a great sign for next week against Cabell Midland, because you cannot afford to have a slow start. You can't afford to have a sluggish start. And you definitely can't afford to look ahead. And every week I praise Coach Brad Dingus and his staff, because he usually, 95% of the time, his kids don't look ahead. They take care of the business that they need to take care of, and they move on. And so that's what you need to watch for. You need to watch to see if Spring Valley comes out and does their job. And if they do their job, it should be a comfortable lead. And then you let some kids get some playing time. And I think that's what it comes down to. You want to see them take care of their job, and then get the other kids in and let them do their work.
Matt Perry's with me tonight. It's Spring Valley taking on South Charleston. We've got that game for you coming up on our sister station, 92.7 and 98.5 The Planet. Should be a fun one. Matt, have fun. I know as soon as the game's over, no matter what the result, you'll be already looking ahead for Cabell Midland. So should be a fun one next week. But we got this one tonight. Let's hope that Spring Valley's ready for South Charleston and nothing bad happens to the Timberwolves.
Hey, listen, the drive, and it has a lot of standing with that drive Power 5.
Oh, I drop them. I'm going to tell you right now. If they lose South Charleston, I'm dropping them.
Oh, yeah, well, obviously.
No, not even, not 2, not 3, not 4. No, I'm dropping them completely. Gone. Out.
I am excited because we're going to have a top 5 matchup next week between Cabell Midland and Spring Valley, both teams in that drive Power 5, and I think it's going to be really cool that just these two teams need to take care of business that they should take care of tonight.
We need to put someone new in charge of tabulation. Cornwell's doing a good job, but I think we could do better. What do you think?
Well, I don't want the job, so if Bill's willing to do it, just let him do it.
All right, fair enough. I was trying to give you a promotion here. trying to give you a promotion here. Like, hey, look, Spring Valley, they just seem to be number one all the time. I don't think Matt has any bias there. No, not at all. Not at all.
Well, I mean,
hey, Ironton's number 2. You were complaining last week. I think the voters heard you. So, yeah, Ironton's number 2, and Huntington High is number 3. So,
yep.
I don't know if you were politicking with the voters last week. And, again, this is completely our in-house poll. I probably should have just declared the top 5 and everyone lived with it because it would have been correct. But
obviously,
I farmed this out. I let everyone else have a say. So, if you don't agree with these rankings that you're out there, don't blame me. I let other people help.
Well, isn't that why you have the call-in show? I mean, you have the drive with Paul Swann. If they don't like our top 5, let us know about it. Tell us what we're messing up.
I would have had Huntington 2 just to irritate people. But, there it is. Huntington 2. Look, my Power 5, Huntington's 2.
That's fine.
That's my number 2 right there.
I did politic last week, and Ironton definitely made me look like not. They didn't make me look bad, put it that way, when they scored 70 on Chesapeake.
Yeah, that kind of swayed some people. Chesapeake got drilled. Ironton, number 2 on the Drive, Power 5. Spring Valley, number 1, taking on South Charleston. That's coming up tonight, 92.7, 98.5, The Planet. All right, man, we'll talk to you soon. Have fun tonight.
Right, I will. Thanks for having me, man. Take it easy.
Matt Perry, Spring Valley, taking on South Charleston. Again, you can tune into our sister station, 92.7 and 98.5, The Planet, to listen to that one tonight. When we continue, Riverside is taking on Huntington. We've got that for you coming up. Christian Palmer and Woody Woodrum will tell us all about that when we continue with this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Friday, September 30th edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We continue to look at high school football across the tri-state, and the game tonight here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930 is going to be Riverside and Huntington. To tell us more about this game, we've got Christian Palmer and Woody Woodrum tonight. Riverside, Christian, one of those teams that you look at the record and you think they're a lot better than what their record indicates. What makes Riverside a challenge for Huntington tonight?
Well, I really do agree with that, Paul. 1-3 record at the moment, but honestly, could just be a few plays away from starting 3-0, 2 one-score losses to start the season, and their offense had a great start to the season. Struggled last week, shut out against Spring Valley, but one thing that Woody and I have been talking about, it's a little difficult to get a read on exactly what we will see on the field tonight because it's been some mixed results so far for Riverside.
Christian Palmer and Woody Woodrum talking to each other on our broadcast tonight here. As gentlemen, you two, you can talk. You both can talk. I'm just saying.
We're just pausing.
Just pausing. Just gracefully pausing here.
Yeah, they've got a senior quarterback who has played 3 years as a starter. He's committed to Glenville State, so going to play up in the new Mountain East Conference, and he's second in the MSAC in yards, and he, like quarterback for Huntington, Gavin Locko, they don't give it to the other team very much. He's hit 54 of 104, which is 52%, and only 2 interceptions against 12 touchdowns. That compares real well with Locko, 13 touchdowns, 1 interception, and hitting 60%. So they're kind of the same guy, except Locko's a little bigger physically than Jake Walker is, but he does a nice job. They've got an outstanding receiver, big kid, Braden Ward, 6'7", 235, senior. He's got 3 for 71, so almost 24 yards catch. And got a couple of good running backs as well. Andrew Beria, his twin brother, plays on the defensive side as he does. He was in the 100-meter finals last year in the state track meet, so rushed for 7:13 last year. Off to a bit of a slow start this year, but Michael Terrell and Bishop Harrison have picked up some of the slack behind him. So it's on defense where I'm most stunned by this team, though. Sometimes they want to put 11 in the box.
Yep.
They'll pull everybody up. And if you break the line of scrimmage, there's no linebackers or safety. And one film that everybody could get a hold of that we both looked at is the film against Beckley. Beckley scored 4 touchdowns in the first quarter doing the very same thing. Then sometimes they'll break out of that 11 in the box and go back in a spread. But they seem to be a little Jekyll and Hyde on defense, and you just can't tell what you're going to get until the game actually gets rolling.
Christian Palmer and Woody Woodrum joining us tonight. Huntington High taking on Riverside. So Huntington High, after losing to Spring Valley, has been able to bounce back quite nicely. Yeah, any worry here that Riverside, they might overlook them tonight? Because, again, there's some really bad records on some schedules tonight. South Charleston, if you overlook them, Spring Valley might be in trouble. Huntington, if you overlook Riverside tonight, might be in trouble. Now, what's the mood of the team, Woody? I know you've talked to them earlier this week.
Yeah, the kids are in a pretty good mood. I mean, they realized they let one get away at the start, and they've been playing very, very well since. Billy Seals has got them pretty grounded. The only curveball tonight is it's homecoming night, and, that weekend comes with all its own distractions at the school. They had a pep rally out here today. So, they're trying to get the kids fired up for the game tonight. And, Billy put it, hey, we're here to play the football game. Some pretty girl is going to get a crown at halftime. We're not really interested in that so much. So, Kristen, I think, homecoming can be a distraction, but I don't really think it will be tonight.
No, I don't think it will either. And Huntington favored in the last few contests as well, and some big wins in the last few weeks. 56-7 win last week over Capital, a game that many expected the Highlanders to win, and they did not let up in that game. Same happened earlier in the season, week 2 against South Charleston. So I don't expect that to be an issue for the team this evening, Paul, because it hasn't been yet this season.
We'll find out tonight. It's Huntington High taking on Riverside. We got the game for you. You can stream it on our Facebook page at ESPN 94.1 AM 930. You can find us on Facebook. You can also listen to the game right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. When we turn our attention to Cabell Midland, when we continue, we're going to have Chris Tatum explain the game tonight between Oak Hill and Cabell Midland. That's coming up when we continue with this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Friday edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Chris Tatum is with me now. He's going to have the call tonight. Oak Hill is taking on Cabell Midland. And he's also got a check presentation coming up tonight as well because he's a public official, the only broadcast-ready mayor that I know, at least in the tri-state. Chris, presentation of a check to the Cabell Midland band because, well, they're phenomenal, right? That's the reason.
I mean, 10 state championships in a row, and you've got a band director in Tim James, who's in the West Virginia Band Directors Hall of Fame. They won the inaugural Governor's Cup band competition, and they keep just adding that trophy case. So, and more importantly, they come and do all of our Christmas parades and hang out with us a good bit. They played a performance before one of our council meetings last December. So everybody's real supportive of Midland in many ways, but this is kind of a special deal that they wanted some financial help, and the village was glad to oblige. So that's what's going to happen here this evening. We'll get a little money, support the program, and then we'll do it upright, get a football game on the radio, and hopefully the Knights run away with a win here tonight over Oak Hill.
Right, with the band playing, of course, making it just that more. Yeah, just making it that much more difficult.
All about the atmosphere, right?
Yeah. You can't deny it. The band's pretty good here. I know that's just part of the experience here. The football team's got to be pretty good too, but the band definitely makes it something else. I'm just waiting for you guys to name the band after the Tri-States band director, Spencer Atkins from Channel 13.
Oh, yeah. You know what? He's been very involved up here a lot.
Yeah?
And, still doing the PA duties for their band competitions here. So, he's still pretty involved, even though his kids have moved on. He's a big supporter of the music program here at Midland, too.
So let's talk football. Tonight, you got Cabell Midland taking on Oak Hill. Midland, after suffering a loss, has bounced back quite nicely now. I think almost everyone has suffered a loss here or there, except for a few rare teams. Cabell Midland, you feel like back on track tonight, and Oak Hill's is going to be another obstacle to go through tonight?
Well, you clearly don't want to look past Oak Hill, because you've got 3 games coming up in succession with, they just played Parkersburg. You pepper in Oak Hill between Spring Valley, Hurricane, Huntington, the next 3 games after Oak Hill. So they realize they've got some big games coming up, but, you don't want to look past Oak Hill because they're well-balanced. They're well-coached. They traditionally have a pretty good football team. So having said that, they don't want to look past this game tonight. They're going to see some different things out of this offense than they've seen throughout the season with teams they've previously played, and even teams that they're going to see later. So I think it's going to be a different look, and I think the Knights continue to do the things that they do. Having said that, they don't want to look past this game.
No, because that's my next question. How do you keep from looking past this game? Because you got Spring Valley right there over the horizon, and you know it and I know it. Those two communities like getting after each other. It's a rivalry long-standing before these schools were consolidated. The communities that make up Cabell Midland and Spring Valley really like to get after each other back in the day pre-consolidation.
Well, I think you look at that as a rivalry, but in now Huntington has always been a huge rival as well, but they've developed a bit of a rivalry with Hurricane. So this is not the next three games what I would consider rivalry games for Midland, and I think they consider them rivalry games. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully Midland tunes it up again tonight. I'm not saying that this is a tune-up game. I think it's an expected win, though, and I think they expect to just continue that preparation for Oak Hill, rather the next three games, getting past Oak Hill to Spring Valley to Huntington and to Hurricane. So
what does Oak Hill do well tonight that Cabell Midland needs to watch out for?
Well, I think their bread and butter is going to be the running game. They'll toss the ball around a little bit, but I think their bread and butter is running game, and Midland has proven that they can combat the running game with most of them they played with. They got punched in the mouth by GW, but Oak Hill's going to do the same thing. And long story short, like I said, you don't want to look past this game, but I think this is an expected win for Midland for a lot of reasons. I think they're just deeper. They've got bigger kids, and although they have 10 or 11 new starters, I think these guys have gelled. Like you said, they kind of took their lumps early on in that first game, but they've continued to tune it up from there and perfected the gelling that needed to happen amongst these kids who hadn't played before in a starting lineup. So we'll see what happens. But I think Midland comes away with a win tonight, reminiscent of what they've seen the last few weeks.
Chris Tatum's with me tonight. It's Oak Hill, Cabell Midland. That's going to be on our sister station, 97.9 The River. Also, thankfully you can't watch Chris Tatum. You can hear Chris Tatum, but you can't actually watch Chris Tatum on the video stream. You'll see the Knights though tonight on the stream. Not Chris Tatum, just the Knights.
They've always said that I have a face for radio, so I'll accept that. I just want people to listen. I just want people to listen to the game, have a good time with it. Going into the middle of the season, this is the time you're going to see the Knights get better, and moving into those next three games, it's going to get more interesting as time goes on for the Knights.
Okay, let's rank them here. I say that Cabell Midland Spring Valley is the bigger rivalry between Cabell Midland Valley and Cabell Midland Huntington. Agree?
Actually, I'm going to have to disagree.
Oh.
Only because I've been on both sides of this broadcast, both sides of those broadcasts now, and I hear the chirping going on, and it's not not bad violent blood, it's rivalry blood though, and it just seems more intense between the Huntington Cabell Midland sides than it does for me for Spring Valley Cabell Midland. Now, that's not to say it's not a close second, because it is, but I think the Huntington Midland rivalry is the one.
Okay, I said earlier that Spring Valley and Cabell Midland was the bigger rivalry of the grouping.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm respectfully disagreeing only because I've been on the inside of both the programs, and I feel like that it's a little more intense from both of those squads. And I've been around Brad and those guys at Spring Valley too, but having had that look that I've had at both Midland and Huntington High over the years, that's it's just the way that's my takeaway.
You know what what you're doing here is because the rivalry between Cabell Midland and Spring Valley is so intense that you are not acknowledging it, instead throwing shade on Spring Valley.
All right.
Okay, I'm just saying. That's what it looks like to me. All kidding aside, all three schools love to get after each other, and that's what makes it fun, because all three are really good, and these kids don't – once these games are over, these kids see each other, so it's all good. It's all good. But – I see what you're doing there. I see what you're doing. You're minimizing Spring Valley so you can amp up the Huntington Cabell Midland game. I get it. I see what you're doing there.
Hey, look, you know what? You gotta throw a curve every now and again. Attention grabbing is what they say, right?
I got you. Okay, you got to go give the Village's money away to the Cabell Midland Knights band, because they're the world champions like 10 years running.
10 years running, state champions. They're champions of the inaugural Governor's Cup competition. And you have award-winning band director Tim James in the Band Directors Hall of Fame in the state of West Virginia.
The only thing you need to do now is have the Village create the Spencer Adkins Challenge Cup, so they can win that too.
We may do that.
Yeah, it's Spencer Adkins Challenge Cup. He'd go for it.
I'll go talk to him right now. I'm going to go see him in a minute.
All right, tell him I suggested that. See what he says.
I'm going to tell him that you want the naming rights, so they've got to be bought.
I work here, man. You know how much money I have. I can't buy anything.
I understand.
I can't buy anything.
If I had your money, I'd burn mine.
Fair enough. Chris Tatum with me. He is going to have the call tonight. It is Oak Hill, Cabell Midland. Listen to it on our sister station, 97.9 The River. Coming up tomorrow, it's going to be Marshall and Gardner-Webb. I've got questions about this game tomorrow. My first question is, how many fans are going to show up tomorrow? How many fans will show up? Will the record deter fans? Will the weather deter fans? Will the opponent deter fans? I have questions. We're going to answer those questions definitely tomorrow, but those are my 3 questions about what we're going to see tomorrow. Losing to Bowling Green, losing to Troy, has that dampened the fan support? With the weather being what it might be tomorrow, we've canceled Thunder Street, by the way. So no Thunder Street tomorrow because of the potential weather that we're going to have tomorrow. So will that dampen your spirits? Will you stay home and watch this one? Are you not even interested in Gardner-Webb as the opponent on the schedule? So those are interesting questions. We're going to have the answer tomorrow when we see what the stadium looks like and what the attendance numbers are. Also, can Marshall bounce back? The easy answer is Marshall should bounce back against Gardner-Webb. But Gardner-Webb has been, at times, they have been a challenging team. Coastal Carolina beat them 31-27. Then they lose to Elon 30-24. And then number 16 Mercer in the FCS defeats them 45-14. So are we going to see the team that was a little bit more competitive against Coastal Carolina? Or are we going to see the team that really had difficulty with Mercer? Which team are we going to see? And it doesn't get any easier for Gardner-Webb after the Marshall game, because Liberty's on the schedule. I think Robert Morris is going to be a challenging team. But at the same time, Marshall, if you look at the schedule, this should be, when you looked at the schedule, if you're just glancing and thinking, okay, which games are the easy ones? Norfolk State, 55-3 victory. Gardner-Webb, that should be an easy one. But then you see the Coastal Carolina score and you think, uh-oh, you can't take this team lightly. Again, you lose 31-27. You lose 31-27 and you think to yourself, okay, Coastal's supposed to be pretty good in this division. Marshall will have a better idea how Marshall matches up against Coastal here in a couple of weeks, actually the end of October. So which team we're going to see tomorrow for Gardner-Webb? And if Marshall does lose to Gardner-Webb, let's just say that out loud, if Marshall, for whatever reason, loses to Gardner-Webb, what does that do for the outlook going into the rest of October? So we've got questions to see if those will be answered tomorrow, if Marshall will get it put together and bounce back before taking on the bulk and the meat of the schedule. And I'm going to find out tomorrow if most of you are showing up or if you're going to stay home, and will the weather be a factor? Will the record be a factor? Will the schedule be a factor? We'll be back in the studio tomorrow, 12:30. with College Football Today. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you, and we'll be back on Monday to talk about what happened over the weekend. But don't forget, game day tomorrow. It all begins at 12:30 here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.